What's going on, everybody? So, in this video, I'm bringing you along on this very non-traditional tree removal, and ill-advised, and I would not recommend doing it this way, but sometimes you just gotta get the job done with what you got. So earlier this year, I had bought the Lull, and I bought it primarily as a shop tool, so I was never really planning on bringing it out on site, but this job kind of merited it, and I could get it there, so I figured why not. So earlier that week, I was on this job just doing a pruning for the tree that you see, and I realized that the tree was severely rotted through, and I recommended to the owner that it should just be removed. I pretty much recommended this because you can see right there, there's a tiny shed, but he also parks his vehicles, including his truck, there's a boat and an ATV underneath that tree. So pretty much next windstorm that thing was coming down, so I highly recommended, let's just chop this thing out. And I told him about the Lull. I said that we could actually get up there, we could crane stuff out, and we could drop the tree safely because we were also close by some power lines. So I have to admit, my heart was racing that whole day pretty much, because like I said, there were some power lines around, there was a shed, and just your own personal safety. When you're working around trees, particularly one that's rotted through like this, you never know what can happen. So that went as well as it could have gone. I was very happy with that result. We were all safe. The Lull worked out perfectly. I couldn't beat having that on site. So all that was pretty much left to do was to clean out all the brush, the debris, and we were actually going to take these sections for milling back at the shop. So we had the cat skid steer on site too, as you can see, and we were using that just to kind of cart out the main sections that I cut up with the saw, and we're going to be loading those into the trailer with the Lull. Aside from assisting with the tree removal itself, the Lull came in clutch just to be able to crane these things out from the woods and also put them into the trailer in a nice controlled, safe way. You know, we do have the skid steer there, but it doesn't have the same lifting capacity. The Lull is around 6,000, and I think that skid steer is around 2,000. And then obviously a skid steer doesn't crane out, so you don't have that extended reach to get at things. So we're just really taking our time here, moving slow. This isn't a situation to drive fast and reckless. That log might not look like much on camera, but it probably weighs between 3,000 and 4,000 pounds. So you gotta be really careful at all times. Also have to be really aware of your surroundings. So, you know, other things that you could cause damage to, not only just the machinery, but, you know, this is a good shot, an example of that. You can see those power lines right above head, and you gotta be really aware of those kinds of things when you're operating heavy equipment. You know, even if you were just to brush up against it for a second and move forward, that's pretty much game over, so you gotta be real careful about that. So, speaking about being careful and safety, pretty much on my end, when I'm spotting a log like this in and spotting the operator, I'm making sure at all times I'm not in a compromising position where any part of me could get caught or, you know, crushed, because those things do happen, and I'm always trying to be aware of those types of things. So I'm always looking for an escape route. I'm always pretty much assuming that this thing could let go at any second, so I never trust that. Even though right there I walk under the craning arm with a load attached to it. That's more or less an understanding of the situation and a calculated risk, because basically even if the hydraulics were to let go in that moment, it would just basically fall onto the trailer, onto the log, and it wouldn't hit the ground. But I mean, even so, that doesn't justify doing it, and on other job sites that would not fly. But in this situation, I'm the owner, it's at my own risk, so I live dangerous, I guess. But I would not advise operating like that. So pretty much with that load in the back of the dump trailer, that's about the capacity of it, both in weight and volume. So it's pretty much time to go back to the shop, drop that first load, and then we had to come back just to process a bit more of the tree that was more in the woods. And we're going to take a lot more back just for firewood, but basically the trunks there were pretty much the only millable features of the tree. But, you know, it's always good to have more firewood, and also we had to get it off site, so not a big deal. So once I got back to the shop, I just needed to dump these out with the dump trailer here, and we pretty much have a bay already set up, ready to go, just for these types of scenarios where we're coming in with, you know, a lot of lumber. And there's a picture there of that main trunk. It was about 33-inch diameter, just a beautiful straight length. I mean, what an awesome piece of wood. There might be a little bit of rot out in the center, but nothing significant that we can't work around. So pretty much here, this is just the end of the day. I'm using the excavator here to just separate, you know, the milling, what, you know, we could potentially get out of it, from the firewood. And this was a funky section that I wanted to work with because I think we'll get some cool features out of it when we mill it. So I just had to cut those limbs out just to prep it for the mill because we don't have the capacity to fit the limbs that were hanging out there. But the excavator is a great tool for this, just to you know, turn the log around like that, spin it, and then hold it in place as you're working around. Yeah. Overall, it was a really great day. We're a bit newer to tree removal and felling, but really no complaints, and we're, you know, being safe, building up a little inventory there for our milling, and yeah, I'm just glad that everything worked out. Customer's happy, and can't beat that.